Well, hello and welcome to the most watched business show in the country. This is the Business Weekly Show here on City TV. My name is Michael Obodu, your host. And in the next 1 hour, I'll be bringing you a wrap of all the major business news for the week, from staffs from the insurance sector, local rice manufacturers, and the almighty levy. If you're ready, let's go. We start off today with the controversial electronic transfers levy. The government has been on a stakeholder engagement drive ahead of its resubmission on the floor of Parliament. I'm wondering though, is the stakeholder engagement to find out if Ghanaians really want the levy implemented, or it's rather to coerce us into buying into the vision? Well, whatever the case might be, the government is already assuring that it will put the money to very good use.
Ahead of the relaying of the controversial 1.75% electronic transfer levy in Parliament, government is engaging the public to bring them to speed on the need to implement such a policy. It has begun with what it calls the government's town hall meeting on e-levy. The maiden edition was held on Thursday in Koforidua in the Eastern region. Government is projecting $1.15 billion in returns from the imposition of the proposed 1.75% e-levy. Topical at the town meeting was the question of accountability and the judicious use of monies to be accrued from the collection of the e-levy. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta noted that government, through a number of mechanisms, will be accountable.
Let's really hold our MPs' feet to the fire to let them know that we understand who we are as a people, a proud nation who want to pay their own way. Yes, we haven't for a long time, and then there are issues of accountability. And in going through over Christmas to Enyinam, Apapem, Himai, and Pram Pram in Greater Accra, it was very clear, as Honorable Markin mentioned, the issue of accountability. So how do I then come to you every quarter or to Parliament to show how those resources were used, to show what we have used e-levy for, so that we all move in step and begin, to reduce the cynicism on politicians and accountability for all of us. But when you pay, you are likely to have that voice to be able to yell, shout, and demand that.
Communications Minister Ursula Owusu-Ekuful, during her presentation, also made some comparisons. She noted that the 1.75% e-levy, when compared to other taxes introduced in Ghana, is the lowest so far.
In 2008, the government of President Kufuor introduced the communications service tax in August of that year, and it became another source of income for national development. That tax was introduced at the rate of 6%, which was later increased to 9%. E-levy is being introduced at the lowest rate for any tax in Ghana, comparatively at 1.75%, less than 2%. In other countries, digital taxes are being introduced at the rate of up to 10%, and they are paying. That's the UK, and we go there and seek loans from them to finance our development.
Many groups have opposed the electronic transfer levy. I think I saw a post by former Finance Minister Kwabena Dufour that suggested that focusing on the effective taxation of the extractive sector could help us raise about 3 times what the government was expecting from the introduction of the e-levy. Another former Finance Minister, Setekpe, also has concerns that projecting the e-levy could have some negative impact on our tax system.
The electronic transaction levy, which is a 1.75% tax, will be charged on mobile money transfers between accounts on the same electronic money issuer, EMI, and mobile money transfers from an account on one EMI to a recipient on another EMI. Since its announcement, there have been varying views on it, with majority proposing a total scrap of the levy. Due to this, government officials on Thursday, January 20, 2022, began a nationwide public sensitization on the need for the introduction of the controversial e-levy and the many policies and programs the government will use the revenue accrued from the levy for. However, speaking at a PMF tax dialogue, former Finance Minister Seth Terkper said this will only disrupt the country's tax structure.
In fact, VAT replaced all the service taxes and the rest. So part of my issue is not just about the need for temporary money, right? Nobody has told us that even the e-levy is a temporary tax, right? And I'm saying if you are not proposing as a temporary tax, then it is distorting the tax structure. The very essence why we brought in VAT. I have the two acts here, which you can go and research it. They are old acts. Act 501, yes, Act 501, which was brought in after the VAT was cancelled to bring back the service tax. Act 500 brought back the sales tax. Act 529 extended it, as I was saying, to the telcos, to those days, multi-choice or TV, those, what we call DSTV and all those, they were all separate taxes. You don't hear about those, The only thing, the aberration that came was a communication service tax, which is entirely. So the telcos are already, me and you, when we consume, it shouldn't be there, it should be VAT, but we've accepted a telecommunication service tax, and it has stayed with us. We now want to come back, then we are just going back. So if you impose it at 1%, you are going back to the era, where and I remember one of the acts reduced for a certain group, the new companies, instead of 15%, they were taxed at 10%.
There might be legitimate concerns with the e-levy, but not everyone is against it. International ratings agency Fitch has some interesting data that is projecting that the levy, among other interventions, could help increase the government's revenue in relation to its gross domestic product GDP by about 5 percentage points this year.
The 1.75% electronic transaction levy, shortly known as the e-levy, has become a controversial subject in the country, with both sides in Parliament sharply divided over its approval. While the majority is fully in support of the levy, the minority wants it rejected. At the moment, the bill for the levy has not been approved, as it is yet to be resubmitted to Parliament. But the government is bent on having it passed because it expects to raise about 7 billion Ghana cedis in tax revenue from the e-levy to tackle some socio-economic challenges. According to Fitch, the e-levy, in addition to the new revenue measures introduced in the 2022 budget and the fading out in COVID-19 related expenditure, will boost the country's revenue to GDP ratio to 20% compared to an estimated 15.4% of GDP last year. The agency further forecasted that Ghana's fiscal deficit will narrow by significantly less to 9.5% of GDP in 2022 and approximately 8% in 2023 as government revenue experiences a smaller increase. Economist and lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Patrick Esuming, has been speaking to City Business News on the development.
The projection that the government has made in terms of proceeds from the e-levy is probably a little optimistic. So they have looked at the volume or the value of transactions, and then have made the projection that if you put 1.75, this is how much revenue you make. I think that I'm not sure whether they factored in the fact that in its current state, when the e-levy is imposed, it's likely to lead to some change in behavior. I definitely expect that on some level, the value of transactions might reduce. Some transactions may cease. People will re-optimize their behavior. And along some lines where people have other options, they will probably use alternative modes of payment. But that doesn't change the fact that it will still raise substantial revenue from the e-levy. I'm just not convinced that they will raise the amount that they are projecting.
Still on government revenues, do you know that between 2011 and 2017, Ghana lost about $8 billion in taxes due to undervaluation of gold exports? The Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE, revealed this in a recent research work. 8 billion power, and we are here having all this back and forth because of 7 billion the government wants to raise from e-levy? Research by the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa revealed that in 2015, Africa was estimated to have lost about $50 billion due to trade mispricing. In Ghana, it is reported that about $8 billion was lost, which is about 11% of total gold exports between 2011 and 2017. How then can the fortunes of the country be improved? The Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISE, of the University of Ghana has been proposing some solutions.
The tax that could have accrued to Ghana, that's about 1.8 billion Ghana cedis a year. Now, we are talking about e-levy, which is government trying to get more revenue. What it means is that if we are able to reduce this trade-related illicit financial flows by strengthening the governance system, the data management systems, the policy and regulatory environment, what it means is that we can get more taxes from these resources than we are getting now. What it means, government can then raise more revenue to be able to finance all the projects. We know that we have a huge infrastructure gap that we need to fill. We have flagship programs that Ghana has to finance. So we are arguing that this is one of the ways by which we can raise more revenue by strengthening the regulatory system. And therefore, maybe this whole agitation about e-levy and all these taxes could come down if we are able to raise more revenue through other channels. So we have to look broadly at many avenues of raising taxes.
Despite how grave the situation might be, Ghana is not alone in it.
And I am from Switzerland, from Geneva. We did the same exercise to assess the extent of illicit financial flows entering Switzerland as a major refiner of gold and as a major trading hub. Our findings now show that indeed the extent of trade mispricing is significant. It might account to up to 11% of the exports of gold from Ghana. And it varies between one destination and another, be it Switzerland, the United Arab Emirates, India, and other export destinations. What is also very encouraging in a way is that there are policy options and there are also administrative measures and economic and data issues that can be undertaken in order to reduce this risk of illicit financial flows. And the major point is that this will translate in increased tax revenues for Ghana, and Ghana will benefit more from its natural resource.
Ghana's public debt between 2020 and 2021 increased by over $45 billion. This is beginning to raise concerns about the country's debt sustainability and its ability to access the international capital market for more support. The World Bank believes the government must prioritize the development of a roadmap that will return Ghana to a state of economic equilibrium that is credible in the eyes of stakeholders.
The November 2021 debt figure of 344.5 billion Ghana cedis puts the country's debt to GDP ratio at 78.4%. As part of efforts to deal with the rising debt level and foster fiscal consolidation, government has introduced and also proposed some new revenue mobilization measures, including the controversial electronic transfer levy. Steps are also being taken to rationalize expenditure, with a decision to cut expenditure in 2022 by 20% across board. Commenting on the state of the Ghanaian economy and the way forward at Ghana's 73rd new school year opening ceremony, World Bank's country director Pierre Laporte urged government to ensure its adjustment efforts are enough to restore macroeconomic stability without undermining social protection and the recovery of growth.
Those of you who have followed the recent launch of the World Bank's Global Economic Prospects publication will know that the public debt of developing countries in general across the world has increased dramatically in the wake of the crisis. Ghana is a case in point, with public debt rising from 60% of GDP in 2019 to the high 70s in late 2021, and as a result, higher cost of debt servicing, which was unavoidable. Unfortunately, in this case, the options are limited for Ghana. The priority is to lay out a roadmap for returning to a state of equilibrium that will be credible, which means that we will require efforts not only from creditors, but also from taxpayers and the beneficiaries of government spending. Again, the challenge is to find what we call the right medium to ensure that the adjustment is enough to restore macroeconomic stability without undermining social protection and the recovery of growth.
Well, the government isn't sitting on the fence. President Akufo-Addo says the second phase of the 100 billion cedis Ghana Coronavirus Alleviation Revitalization of Enterprises Support Program would be operationalized this year. The Ghana Cares program was introduced in a bid to pursue a comprehensive transformation of the Ghanaian economy due to the devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Ghana Coronavirus Alleviation Revitalization of Enterprises Support Program, also known as Ghana Cares or Obatampa Program, according to government, is expected to stabilize, revitalize and transform Ghana's economy to create jobs and prosperity for Ghanaians over a 3-year period. It is sequenced in 2 phases, a stabilization phase that ran from July to the end of the year 2020 and a medium-term revitalization phase from 2021 to 2023. President Akufo-Addo, speaking at the opening of the 73rd Annual New Year School and Conference at the University of Ghana, Legon in Accra, on the theme COVID-19 and Socio-Economic Dynamics in Ghana, revealed that the second phase of the Ghana Cares program will commence this year.
Ghana COVID-19 Alleviation and Revitalization of Enterprise Support, Ghana Cares, or Bantampa program, to create jobs and prosperity for Ghanaians over a 3-year period, have begun yielding results. The first phase of the Ghana Cares program, the phase of stabilization, came to an end in 2020. And the second phase, which started in 2021, aims at revitalizing and transforming the economy between 2021 and 2023, and is focused on supporting commercial farming and attracting educated youth into agriculture, building Ghana's light manufacturing sector, developing the engineering, machine tools, and ICT digital economy, developing Ghana's housing and construction industry, reviewing and optimizing the implementation of government flagships and key programs, and creating jobs for young people and expanding opportunities for the vulnerable in society, including physically challenged persons. I'm happy to report that this initiative is inspiring the desired dividends that we anticipated. As a result of government's policies, the economy grew at a provisional 5.2% in the first 3 quarters of 2021.
At the end of the conference, a communique would be issued which would capture the recommendations of participants to inform decision-making and direction of the nation.
We turn now to the agricultural sector. The Peasant Farmers Association says over 100,000 persons in the local rice value chain risk losing their livelihood should the government fail to reverse the benchmark discount policy. Rice producers in the country have, since the introduction of the policy, raised concerns that it could make them uncompetitive against heavily subsidized imports. But this looks more complex than it seems. Do we go ahead with a policy to avoid a likely hike in the staple food or preserve the jobs of thousands of persons in the sector?
In 2019, the government implemented a benchmark value discount policy to cushion the cost of imported goods, including rice. The policy, even though Welcomed by the Ghana Union of Traders Association (GUTA), the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana and the Rice Millers Association of Ghana say the policy is to the disadvantage of local rice farmers. According to the association, some rice millers have shut down their businesses due to high production costs. Addressing a joint press conference in Tamale on Tuesday, the leadership of the two groups called on government to reconsider its decision and implement the review policy, particularly for agricultural produce. Here is the head of programs for the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Charles Nyaba, speaking.
As we speak, I have over 1,000 bags of paddy rice in the rice valleys that I can sell. We have been supplying our rice to companies like Avinas. We asked them why they are not buying. They said that now they can't buy because the rice in the market, the price is far, far lower than what they sell. Because when they process and put all their costs together, it's far higher. So when they also process and sell, they are making losses. So we dig further to understand why they say they can't sell. And the reason is simple. Government has given a discount of 50% to rice importers who are already benefiting from subsidies from important countries like Thailand, Vietnam, and co. Because you go to Thailand today, rice farmers take loans with zero interest rate. There is a benchmark price that the government set for rice producers, that if the market buy below that price, government will take up the additional cost. So we think that if you have a country that want to industrialize and targeting to become self-sufficient in rice production by 2024, you need to actually put in policies that will make your local rice sector competitive. So the essence of this press conference or our concern is for governments to listen to us. That currently the country is suffering. The government needs revenue. Agri sector needs some investment. So we just think that we are rather helping the government to achieve its own agenda of making the rice sector self-sufficient and even export to our neighboring countries. So we are calling them to reverse this policy as soon as possible. Once they do that, we have we can compete. We can equally compete with the importers. Our prices will be at a par. So with that, we'll be able to sell and continue to remain in business.
Ahmed Adam, a rice farmer in the northern region, corroborates the claim by the leadership of the groups. According to him, large number of his paddy rice are in stock due to lack of market, as the major off-takers are currently not working.
I have the rice. I don't know where I can even sell it to sell. I don't have a market. This year, one Abnash came and bought a little, about 500 bags. This year, we bought a bag of fertilizer, 300 Ghana cedi. Compared to this dry season, I'm going back to Bontang and farm. A bag of fertilizer is 420 Ghana cedis at now. No subsidy. So it's a little bottle of condemn is 40 Ghana cedi. So it's challenging with the farmers. So one government brought this planting and food and job. We thought that he coming to help us, but now he's coming to destroy our farming activity.
In the midst of conflicting interests between GUTA and farmers, the Rice Millers Association of Ghana believes the government can maintain the policy while exempting food products. Yao Edupoku is the convener for the Rice Millers Association of Ghana.
We have tried. From the grapevine, we hear that even rice would not even be part of the... and so what it means is that we are finding it difficult to go and buy the paddy from the farmers. And the farmers had a short-lived relief with the influence of the Nigerians coming into our markets last year. They came in because of the policies that were created in their home country. The Buhari government closed the land borders and closed the harbors against certain commodities, not all. And the commodities that they closed the borders against was rice and sugar. and then I think oil. So you could not import rice into Nigeria. So overnight, there was shortage of rice in Nigeria.
Still on agriculture, tomato farmers at Fententa in the Bunu region are calling on the government to construct dams to enable them expand their farms. I am very impressed that the farmers see the need to mechanize their activities. And on the other side is that with the coup in neighboring Burkina Faso, where we get a number of our tomatoes, we really must begin to consider growing a lot more of these locally.
Fententa, located in the Brokun West district of the Bunu region, is the hub of tomato production. Tomato production has over the years created jobs for the inhabitants of the Fententa community. There are currently 5,000 registered tomato farmers under the Quality Vegetables Association, Fententa. However, one major challenge these farmers have to confront on a yearly basis is access to water. They have to depend on the rain to grow their crops. Chairman of the Quality Vegetables Association, Fententa, Stephen Odro, while addressing the media, called on the government to construct dams in the area for the farmers. This, he believes, will aid them to expand their farms and engage in all-year-round farming. He also called for the reshaping of major feeder roads in the area to help in the carting of their produce to town.
Because every time Pieska or Ghana hanging and Franco Gobi Crusoe, no fancy in Kuru. Every Ghana, a bind so Bokia, yes, bet my edge man the idea at the Amano. Now, because Mosicrum so bien say ensure, and nobody had more Mosicrum. So a bino boy no so to Tunsio, said the Obakina no, Amaya. Major the pass, Bokina or Crampono. Cabian Coso Cofantus. Because I bet my yen tosino, because if we are going to Antiman yen tosino, Uncle Sibaya, you do bring your Babosumi and Santamono. Obiasro, because Ebreno can't be Cobokina. A dear near man, yes, a man, a maben never turn your manamai. Mobile Chrome and Mongal himself for the Duabigu Chroma. And the Galam said, Mother say, and I'm so bad, I'm yen in toast. And Ties Raban say, Yensu, why and on to Tunso and so to Nina Telecoqua. And I said, Dam na yin ho dam yin ho okroimu se nya excavator ba kokra se ebesi kroimu a ensu ebetutu wa hadwuma ebeye no anya asem ketwa tabani hu ye mobo na omo ye nsuo na titu so yakwan ese me no tie se kasese wo akwan ina kekabu ma ayire so aben kwansiri dupe ono fa grader mefa so ma akuafo because se yekwa nwura mu eno asem wo ha kabeya awre wosem azonto do obi akomuni ama sebi mpreduasa ne nsane ne nam ayeden abubu a na ye nim firi anwumre ya ye wi aye kwane akohwe no a hospital ntabane mwa ese kwane so yensuo ne yakwan omwa ye na aja onhwe na onye hu bibi nya den ema akuafo.
2 ex-illegal miners who have ventured into tomato farming also added their voice, calling on the government to support tomato farming.
Mpachana mo gramase ase last 2 years na gramase ne emwa nti ye adwuma na emwa yen ukọ site ya probably no madam bitum ko se memra petenta na nti o se adwuma no ye kama odo ho behyimu a ebeboa nti o se adwuma so na medika eyebi wo dem a eyiskasem na mbusa anse na sika no me de menya bia be no so uban kwan bi ebeboa wo ampan bai bo ne koje bank gusale maame ma me yike adwuma no se emwa pa hia pa ye se yen de chemicals ye wa hode be adwuma no chemicals fertilizer ane that ne pause nya de ndi hia no kese yen ye hoden ene so onye dwuma kwase obididi adwane de bet hode be adwuma bet chemicals ne hia yen taban mo ayen
ne o inchi da de so to galamsi ne uma tv so ne ma ne nwa bi so ha professor medin tomatoes ti doye no so ni ye ya ba no boa agekifo no nwa bet me tumpo ama adwuma na koso ko galamsi ne wo wom ene ade de nti wo de ntozi adwuma de wo nim nya se yakobo ma wonkwa na ba nso so tembe oboboa agenkipanifo ntuma yedwuma no koso.
Now to poultry. The government has released 44 million Ghana cedis to be disbursed to help in addressing the bird flu outbreak across the country. So far, 7 out of the 16 regions have recorded cases with over 700,000 birds lost so far. This is so devastating, and I am sure this news will come as major relief for many poultry farmers. But what will all the money be used for? This video has the details.
The Ministry of Food and Agriculture puts the number of birds destroyed and killed by the recent outbreak at over 700,000. There is currently a ban on the importation of poultry and poultry products from neighboring countries where the prevalence of the disease has been confirmed. The outbreak in Ghana occurred in 7 regions, including the Bono, Ashanti, Greater Accra, and the Central regions. The Acting Director of Veterinary Services, Dr. Patrick Abaka, gave a breakdown of the latest outbreak.
I will give you further information. We have about a total number of 159 farms that have been affected, and number of birds that have died as a result of the bird flu. We have 143,406 birds, and number of birds that have been destroyed. We have 555,227 birds destroyed by the VSD, and total number of birds, that is number destroyed, and then that number that died through the bird flu, we have 703,966. Now the second question as to how much of the 20 million that has been released is going to pay for compensation of farmers. I can say it's about 14 million will go for compensation of farmers. This is what I'm aware. It's rather 20 million out of 40 million that has been released, and not 10 million.
The Minister for Food and Agriculture announced some major interventions, including the allocation of 44 million Ghana cedis to curb the spread of the bird flu.
It will be recalled that government granted approval for the immediate recruitment and deployment of an initial 550 veterinary professionals out of a total 1,100 professionals throughout the country. The intervention also include approval for the release of an emergency budget support of approximately 44 million Ghana cedis to the ministry. This is for the implementation of an action plan involving some key activities for combating the bird flu. These are creation of public awareness on the bird flu, engagement with key stakeholders, stamping out, decontamination, procurement of disposal materials and other logistics, as well as payments of compensation to affected farmers. Ladies and gentlemen, the intervention of government is imperative given the VSD's strategic mandate of contributing to public health and the development of livestock and poultry industry.
This is very welcoming news for players in the poultry sector. But the Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association also wants a lot more attention to be given to tackling the outbreak so it doesn't reoccur. Last year, there was an outbreak, and this year also, we are experiencing another. All they want is a halt in the cycle.
The latest outbreak of bird flu comes at a time when the poultry industry is still recovering from a similar outbreak sometime in April last year, which killed over 11,000 birds. The industry last year also suffered immensely from a shortage of maize needed to make feed for the birds. At the time, this led to the temporary shutdown of 5 out of the 55 feed mills in the country. The overall situation almost led to the near collapse of the entire industry. In an interview with City Business News, board member of the Greater Accra Poultry Farmers Association, Kwame Ntimdodu, said this time round more must be done to contain the spread of bird flu in the country.
You mentioned 7,000 birds of a farmer being destroyed, and I was comparing that with another farmer who lost about 80,000 birds in just 2 months away, in November, to bird flu. What we are saying is we are talking with the Vet Services Directorate for them to audit their solution, their approach to making sure the bird flu situation is controlled. Because the first case was reported in April 2021. And so many months down the lane, we still have cases of the bird flu. To some of us, it's about the first time we are seeing the bird flu still lingering on after 6-7 months of its first reported incident. So maybe they have to audit the approach. They have to check what they are doing right and not doing right on the field. And there must be a checklist of the solution to make sure people or their field officers conform to known solution standards and methodologies so that we can control this bird flu. We can't live with it all the time, and it must surely be ended one time. And we want the Veterinary Services Department to make sure this is put under control or stop. It is doable.
City TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access City TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and Star Times box. City TV, it's your world.
Now to tech and social media. Ghana and Nigeria have always been in competition with each other, from football to the Jollof War, you name it. But it seems like another beef might arise soon. After a 7-month ban in Nigeria, Twitter has finally resumed its operations in the country. The social media giant was banned after it deleted a tweet by President Buhari. But now that has been lifted with some very strict demands, including registration as a business, establishment of an office in the country, among others. We also know that Twitter last year announced that Ghana would host its headquarters. But what does this latest development in Nigeria mean for us? In what validated Ghana's claim of the gateway to Africa, Twitter announced in April 2020 that it would establish its Africa headquarters in the country. Already in January of the same year, the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat commenced operation in the national capital, Accra. For Twitter, its decision was based on shared values, which are Ghana supports free speech, online freedom, and the open internet. Many Ghanaians were elated by the news, even though Twitter had added that it would recruit just a few people to work remotely. A few months into the announcement, however, Twitter's major market in Africa, Nigeria, banned the social media giant, with its government stating that the platform was used for activities that are capable of undermining Nigeria's corporate existence. 7 months down the line, the dust has settled under the terms that Twitter registered in Nigeria, appoint a designated country representative, and comply with tax obligations in Nigeria, among others. Does this development undermine the establishment of Twitter's headquarters in Ghana in any way? Nasser Bwedi is a digital marketer, and he shares his thoughts.
On a propaganda level, it means that, we haven't got one over Nigeria. Whoever ever said that, we had got one over Nigeria. Now it means we haven't got that over Nigeria. Plus, if they're going to open the office there and knowing how much they're going to have to do there, and also knowing how much revenue they can generate from there, it means Ghana wouldn't be a priority for them. And Nigeria is far bigger. There's a lot more revenue to be raised there. So whatever we're hoping for might even be reduced now.
What then does this say about how Ghana should approach its dealings with such tech giants?
I think it's about we knowing the value that we offer. For example, I've said that if you think about a lot of, development in Ghana, when it comes to tech, for example, we've got a lot of very, very smart techie people in Ghana. We've got these hubs that are growing. So we have a very, very knowledgeable techie community here. And so, for example, when we are negotiating for some of these things, we have to insist that this is how much we can offer. So you need to, let's say, recruit 30% or 40% of your people locally, and we can meet whatever demands. We know a lot of our people who have gone to work for Microsoft, all these people back in the States. So the same kind of people are here. That's one. Plus, even the fact that we are peaceful democracy and all of that is something we can negotiate with, because I think that was one of the things that wanted for us when they selected us. Looking at Nigeria is not as peaceful as we are. Okay, so that wanted for us to have a stable ground. Plus, things like even when it comes to working with different time zones, we are at the center, GMT. So even from whether it's the West Coast in the States or even the Far East or whatever, these are things. So first thing we need to do, we need to really look at what we have, including even the infrastructure, the tech infrastructure.
I'm sure by now you've heard of the January 20 explosion which occurred along the Takwa-Bogoso-Ayamfuri Road. A truck transporting mining explosives collided with a motorcycle, according to the police. Leading gold mining company Goldfields Limited says the mining industry in Ghana can learn from the unfortunate incident and become better going forward. Hopefully, more attention will be given to safety standards in the sector.
At least 13 people have been confirmed dead as a result of the explosion, with over 170 families directly affected by the incident. Individuals, companies and the government have all been contributing in varied ways to provide shelter and support for the victims and families affected by the disaster. In response to a questioning by City Business News at a media engagement in Accra, the acting executive vice president and head of Goldfields in West Africa, Joshua Mototi, noted that priority should be given to rebuilding the community and lives of the people of Apiati.
We're keen to learn from the investigation report to understand what happened and what additional steps we can take going forward. But I must assure you all that the regulation that we have around transportation, storage of and handling of explosives in this country is really solid. It has boded well for us for all these years. That's why this kind of incident actually hasn't happened before. So, but that does not mean that anything we have is foolproof. At least we can learn out of the investigation to see what we can do better to improve the situation. So we are keen to learn that. But the first thing is to provide relief to the people of Apiati. And through the chamber, there has been, as you have seen, an outpouring of support to the people, and we have contributed. We're one of the very first people to actually go and make contribution of tents, mattresses, food items, water, medicine to the people of Apiati to alleviate their situation. But that's not all. We're working with the government through the chamber on how that community can be rebuilt, and conversations are going on as we speak. So hopefully we can learn from that unfortunate incident and not repeat it again.
On his part, the CEO of Goldfields, Chris Griffith, stated that even as companies in the space wait for the investigations to conclude, many will be reviewing their safety protocols to ensure the highest safety standards.
I think the answer is it is premature to say, well, we're going to do A, B, or C. The reality is we will take whatever learnings come from that investigation, both at the regulator. The regulator, we know, will say whatever comes out of that we must improve in certain areas to make sure that doesn't happen again. But also the mining companies in this country will also look at those findings and say, well, how can they also improve their own standards? And that includes Goldfields. Of course, all of us, even before we know the outcomes of that investigation, we'll be looking at our own standards, making sure that we are complying to whatever regulations in place, and to make sure that we're doing the very best we can until such time that we get the answers. So we're not waiting until we get that. We're also checking our own standards and systems.
The media engagement saw the leadership of Goldfields outlining the progress the company has made in multiple areas, as well as the goals of the company in areas including energy security, water security, safety and health, as well as gender diversity in the medium to long term.
Still on accidents, isn't it fascinating how many road crashes have occurred in the first month of 2022, resulting in the loss of a number of lives? These happenings highlight the importance of insurance. Not many people are interested in buying insurance in Ghana, and it seems the few that do aren't doing it the right way. The Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana says if we should get an insurance package, we are better off using the services of a broker. Despite efforts to increase insurance penetration in Ghana, it remains quite low. A recent report by the Bank of Ghana indicated that the rate of insurance penetration has remained at 1% over the past 5 years. One of the reasons why many aren't subscribing to insurance, aside access to information, is the experience some clients have had in dealing with service providers. Mr. Shaibu Ali, while speaking on the sidelines of his investiture as the 10th president of the Insurance Brokers Association of Ghana, stated that the narrative could change if the public relied on insurance brokers while purchasing a cover.
If you want the right thing done, you should go through a broker first to access the insurance. If you go to the developed insurance nations like South Africa, Europe, and then all those places, you don't get people insuring their stuff without a broker, because the broker has a crucial role to play. And that role is the fact that the broker would access the risk, go to the market, look for competitive pricing for you. When there's a claim, it is a broker who will sort out the claim and everything. So in our part of the world, it is out of ignorance about what the broker does. That is why some people go direct to the insurer. It is never advisable. If you want, you try it. When you have a claim and you have issues, that is when you will see the use of a broker. So I advise everybody, before you purchase any insurance, use a broker, because it gives you peace of mind. The broker knows the right policy you are supposed to buy and everything. Because look, let's face it, in our part of the world, insurance is the last thing people are thinking about. It is only when people have disposable income that they think about insurance. So people don't really know the ins and the outs of insurance. That is the reason why. But that is changing very fast. We have an increasing middle class that has lived abroad. Others, by dint of education, they know that the broker has a very vital role to play in the mix. So it is changing very, very fast.
Meanwhile, speaking on behalf of the Director of the Financial Service Division of the Ministry of Finance, Mrs. Patience Akonboham stressed the need to acquire insurance, especially with the rising incidents in the country.
We have all heard about the recent fire disasters, road accidents, and the explosion at Bogoso. Many of these happenings affect the livelihood and businesses and families of the citizenry, and eventually force government to draw from the national purse to support the victims. However, if the victims had certain insurance policies in force, their livelihoods, businesses, and families would have been restored seamlessly without ever overburdening government. Insurance provides financial support and reduces uncertainties in business and human life. It provides a cover against loss due to fire, marine, accidents, or sudden loss. Funds generated by collecting premiums can be invested in government securities and stocks for the economic development of the country. Its benefits are enormous and cannot be overhauled by the few bad experiences some people may have had in the past. Hence, on an occasion like this, I'd like to applaud the insurance players, especially the brokers.
Still on insurance, there was news making the round that the National Insurance Commission had announced the mandatory Aquaba insurance for all international travelers arriving in Ghana. Well, the NIC responded in a statement indicating that the claim was false and should be disregarded.
There have been widespread reports that by the end of the first quarter of 2022, all international travelers arriving in Ghana through the Kotoka International Airport will be obliged to roll onto a compulsory insurance cover known as the Aquaba insurance policy. 3 Ghanaian insurance companies, Glyco Insurance, Enterprise Insurance, and State Insurance Company PLC, are said to have been contracted to spearhead the rollout of the policy. However, according to a statement issued by the National Insurance Commission, NIC, it has not approved any such plans, advising the general public to disregard such a directive. City News interacted with an insurance analyst, Ernest Rempong, who breaks down the essence of a travel insurance.
You can have a travel insurance policy, so you can have it for a single trip. Let's say you are traveling outside to any country and you come to us and say you want travel insurance. You're going to be there for a certain number of period. Normally, one trip is for, let's say, a maximum of 90 days. So we arrange a one-off travel insurance for you to go. And then That is it. We charge you the premium. And then also we have an annual policy. In terms of what it covers, let's say for death, if you traveled for death, injury, illness, let's say medical repatriation, medical expenses or emergency situations and hospital bills, and also loss of baggage or luggage and personal effects, including clothing. So all these things, when it happens, then you can get compensation from the insurance company.
In countries like the United States of America and Cuba, though not mandatory, it is highly recommended to have travel insurance to cover medical costs and other unforeseen happenings in case they arise. Mr. Frimpong further explained that in Ghana, only the NIC is mandated by law to make travel insurance compulsory.
Travel insurance is one of the non-life insurance products that we have on the market. And before an insurance product such as travel insurance is sold on the market, it has to be approved by the National Insurance Commission. So that is the process. And for any insurance to be made compulsory, it has to be backed by law. So the current law that we have is the Insurance Act 2021, that's Act 1061. So it has certain compulsory insurances that have been prescribed in the Act, including motor insurance, commercial buildings, including those under construction, and then also we have professional indemnity. So those are the insurances that have been made compulsory. So for travel insurance to be made compulsory, it has to be allowed by the regulator, which is the National Insurance Commission, to direct that it is so, backed by law.
Finally, to the tourism sector. If you haven't paid your tourism levy yet, please ensure you do so quickly because you risk having your facility shut down by the Ghana Tourism Authority. It began the exercise recently and already some businesses have been found wanted.
At this juncture, I would like to throw a word of advice, a word of caution to all the operators of the tourism enterprises that we are partners. We are your regulators. We work hand in hand. And as much as possible, we would like to encourage all and sundry to adhere to the protocols. The protocols, COVID-19 protocols, 1. Number 2, we need to adhere to the fact that once we have regulators, then we need to do justice in terms of payment of our registration fees. If you have not registered, you get in touch, you pay your registration fee. If you are not paying the levy, you need to file your returns, you pay the tourism levy, so that together we can build tourism in this nation. We know the times are challenging, but we are rebounding, we are coming back to base, and we know that if we all garner our resources and adhere to each other, we'll be able to make tourism one of the better economies that we have in Ghana, one of the better sectors of the economy in Ghana.
Well, this is all time will allow us for this week's edition of the Business Weekly Show here on City TV. For regular business news updates, our website citybusinessnews.com is there for you, and the business dashboard also, which airs at 10 p.m. sharp every weekday with a repeat the following day at 7 and 10:30 a.m. My name is Michael Obodu. Please hit me up on Twitter. Catch you same time next week. Stay safe, stay informed. Bye-bye.